Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Once again, hold on. Bam! New scenery, beds messed up. Not explaining why. Not doing it. No, the left and the right hand, maybe. But we are here today. It is a little bit early for those who are tuning in. It is, oh, wow. We do kind of look all wore out. It is 8:55, 9 a.m. here in Australia. But there has been a bunch of things happen, of course. And we're going to be talking about those today. We are sharing the feed around right now on the Facebookie page. Of course, that's how we do. That's how we do. Of course, new song. If you haven't heard it, go check it out on the channel right now. Also, it's also on Spotify. The Chaz Going Down Under. Really good kind of, I think, entertaining. Oh, wait, we are too loud here. Hold on. We need to fix the mic. I'm sorry. We'll fix the mic. There we go. Just half. There we go. Just half it. Half it up. All right. Half it up, Slappy. But anyway, it has been very interesting over here. Sorry, I got distracted just a little bit. We'll get back onto the topic of what we were talking about. But there has been a bunch of things happening, of course, here in Australia. We are over here just trying to get things going and obviously have to leave here just a little bit. We are heading to the other side of the hemisphere. We do have a bunch of things to talk about, though. We're trying to bang it out in an hour. Sorry. I wanted to say that's what she said jokes, but we're not doing that today. And it's not factual. As much as Steven Stonecipher wants to run his mouth, we don't do things like that. I have attained my 2024 virginity so far. We are trying to stay in the straight and narrow. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the topics of the day. First of all, the topic for me, at least, this was the, hold on, let's go here. This was the picture that we took at the Flying Horse Bar and Brewery. In my opinion, number one sprint car bar in the world. It blows my mind how good some of these facilities and just class of the dirt track racing world is treated like and with in the southern hemisphere of the Australian side of life. It is just insane to see how serious people take it. It's not viewed as something that rednecks just drive in circles. It's viewed as something kind of, with a level of respect and pageantry to the scenario. And it's very cool to see sprint car racing have that level, and even dirt track racing. We're going to talk about that level of respect and idolization. It's something that I think is missing so bad in America. We do live in the NASCAR shadow. Over here, there's V8 supercars, but that's road racing. Sprint car racing, dirt track racing in Australia is the number one top of the food chain oval form of motorsports, and it gets that notoriety and respect for doing so. But anyways, we are leaving. That was the bye-bye premiere in Avalon Speedway. We are heading over to Perth and Bunbury. Actually going to be getting on a plane here in about 4 or 5 hours to head over there to warmth. I came down here from Iowa. Whoever has watched the America to Avalon video, we came over here to, get out of the snow and get into the summer of Australia. We hear about Australia. We think of snakes and spiders and 150 degrees or something like that. Or well, it's all Celsius over here, 25 or 30 or whatever it is. And I got over here and I'm having to have a hoodie on and long pants every day or I'm freezing my ass off. But apparently, and honestly, it's weird because yesterday or 2 days ago at the title race that I attended, you see this picture here was taken yesterday. Not a damn cloud in the sky, beautiful, sunny. It made me want to stay in Warrnambool all day and night. But the day before, overcast, rain, drizzle. We'll get into talking about that. There was a lot of things that the Premier Speedway was up against, and they did get the show in. They did get a race in, and it was for the Australian title for the sprint car division. Very important race. But the weather there was kind of like, okay, racing's over. Now we'll let you have a nice day. I don't know if that means God's against usage of methanol. Although methanol with sprint car racing, for instance, it makes it a carbon-free vehicle. It's a clean, green vehicle, because methanol produces zero carbon emissions through ignition. But anyway, we'll get over that. We did go down, instead of staying in Warrnambool, we did switch over. We went down to Melbourne, checked that out last night. Somebody asked if I'm not going to Tasmania. I mean, I don't know why that would matter right now. There's plenty of time to go wherever we need to go. But regardless, this is why I just need to ignore comments. People are just so behind. I'll tell you what. We do have a video coming out about this very soon because it was a very entertaining experience. This Melbourne downtown area, there was like a Ferris wheel that's just as tall as those skyscrapers, by the way. I don't know who would get on that. I'm not doing it. That is scarier than the spiders and everything that you could encounter, in my opinion. And then the beachside area over here, we ended up going to this restaurant right here, Bleak House Hotel. Really badass. I mean, people talk about the prices of Australia being somewhat expensive. This was this lamb mash meal with gravy and all kind of mixed vegetables. The drinks were very cheap. That was like $35-$40 that was spent at this place, and that's Australian. So, it's 65, you get a 35% discount basically if you're using American funding like I am, because the Australian dollar is 65 cents to the America's $1, although we believe our economy is in a recession and doing so horribly. Once again, we always think that the other side of the fence is worse, or better. But at the end of the day, really nice place. And we actually ran into a bunch of groups of people, but we did get to spread the word with Ronda Rousey, who was in attendance. No, I'm just kidding. It was a lookalike. We did get to spread the word. We actually have a whole video. This is coming. So stay tuned to the channel. This was not just a sticker that was held in me, as Steven Stonecipher says. Or these people down here, them stickers, your pickup line, haha. And then he said that's all he's got. That's not the case. But I will say, like I said here, it is a pretty good excuse when people see you walking around, filming, taking pictures of everything. They always ask, "What are you doing that for?" ? And I have an answer, which is the sticker, the Chaz, and all that. I said, how I see it, 3 new people who was sitting there in the booth across from us who have now learned about Speedway in Australia and across the world. And funny enough, this person right here in this picture is not even from Australia. She's from New York. Interesting. The other girl across the table was from Ireland. And then the guy sitting over here to the left, you ain't seeing him right now, you will in the video, he was the person native to Australia. So this was like, we're expanding the brand here. We're trying to get the Chaz out, and wherever the Chaz goes, sprint car racing. If Chaz is like the Down Under song goes big or something, platinum, whatever, because people really like it. People really like it. Even they liked it very much. Sprint car racing, dirt track racing is coming with the Chaz. So I don't know why you want me to expand the brand of racing. But regardless, speaking of expand the brand, there is hope for America. Even though Australia and I'm over here in the restaurant spreading the word of sprint car racing and dirt track racing better than it seems like most viable brands. And we've talked about how a lot of viable brands in the United States are more so worried about streaming numbers. Trying to sell streaming numbers or streaming services to the hardcore fans instead of trying to attract new fans, the 80% that all business models need to survive, new people. It's not really happening in the United States, but it seems like maybe it finally is. Look at this. This is a picture. Oh, where'd it go? Hold on. We got this. Hold on. There it is right there. Hopefully that didn't happen to all my pages. Okay, good. Because we're going to talk about some things. This is a picture by Kevin Woody right here. And he was at the Daytona International Speedway, Rolex 24 Daytona, right down the street from Volusia Speedway Park. And Volusia Speedway Park in the World Racing Group, I believe is what's running that whole scenario of Speed Weeks down there, had this out there. Now, maybe they've heard the Chaz screaming, we need to promote the sport or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And not be going after streaming numbers, which we have a really good interview coming up with Gavin White. We plan to release by the end of the day if I can get to some situation where I could set my laptop up. And I felt like I needed to do a live here very quickly, more so than put a video out, because there's a lot of things to talk about that I could put together before I have to go and leave. I didn't know if I could get the Gavin White, which is an amazing historical announcer here in the Australian side. We talk about streaming. We talk about broadcasting, because the battle in America that's soon to come, if it does come, is streaming versus broadcast companies. There's 2 different business models, and the business model with the 7 Plus versus the Clay Per View here in Australia. Kind of one makes money on selling subscriptions or selling a night's worth of racing, and one makes money in traditional broadcast sense. Broadcast companies make money on advertising revenue. That's where the Super Bowl that's coming up, for instance, they'll bid on the Super Bowl. I think it's like $12 billion or $30 billion or something like, or whatever it is. And then they'll go in there, and the way that broadcast company makes that money from having the rights to produce the Super Bowl and put that to the masses is as we've heard, they charge $2 million for a 30-second commercial. And so they charge all that advertising revenue, and that's what pays for the rights that they purchase to be able to show that racing event or Super Bowl event. So it's two different business models where, like, the broadcast company business model kind of makes the money on the advertising side, and the viewers aren't necessarily, they're not paying for anything in a way. They're basically, they're being advertised to by companies that are hoping to garnish the business of the viewership, and the advertisers are paying for the production, for the actual producing of the scene or the sport or whatever it is. And that's kind of how the broadcast market works. Whereas the streaming revenue, they make advertising money, but it's not as much. They're making their money, the ability to produce and all this stuff, which is just as hard. They're making their money on the actual viewer. The viewer is paying for the broadcast, unlike the advertiser paying for the broadcast, hoping to attract the viewer. So it's very, and that's traditional broadcast company versus streaming. Now, streaming is what has built this sport up to where it is nationally. I think there's a lot of attention, and internationally as well. I think streaming's did a really big, hard job in building this thing up from the ground. And I think in America, especially, we need to be wary about broadcast companies wanting to just come in and take advantage of all the hard work that the streaming companies have done. Of course, there's some subcontracting, kind of freelance situations that could occur there where both sides actually interact. Me and Gavin White actually have a really good conversation about that. Gavin White, one of the biggest voices over there in Premier Speedway and in the racing scene of that whole entire area. That should be coming out by the end of the day. Subscribe to the channel to be sure to catch that. It's very interesting, the things we actually talk and discuss. Back to pushing to the people, and interestingly enough, that's what made me think of this, because me and Gavin White talk about that in Australia even. This is a big step. World Racing Group, sprint car racing tonight over the Rolex 24. Obviously this is old school advertising. I think word of mouth is still one of the best forms of advertising. I mean, F1 on Netflix didn't get big just because it was an option. It was because people told their friends and their buddies about it. So this is a very interesting way to get in front of people and actually try to market to that new customer. The new customer that American dirt track racing has been lacking for a long time. The new customer that Flow and Dirt Vision is not after. They're not going to get new people to pay that money up front to watch a race on a phone or a TV. But this is the way you get new customers, is to the track. And this is why some people, I heard Brian Carter on Jeremy Elliott's talk he had with him, talk about the differences. And, we need people at the track. That's kind of one of our bigger things. It's not to sell subscriptions to pay for an event. And he's kind of talking shit to a few of the, people who have that kind of business model with the streaming. But the actual people at the track, and I think that's a very important thing. And it looks like they're not just talking that, they're walking that when they go out here. And apparently this was flying around for 2 to 3 hours, according to Kevin Woody. And like I said in the comment here, that gives me hope, because this is something that we have been lacking, is trying to attract the new viewer. And I don't want to blame subscription-based platforms, but they're all about kind of making money off of the diehard fan who's willing to pay that amount of money to watch sprint car and dirt late model racing all year long and not go to the track in a way. But once again, that's a yin for yang, because I think some of the best advertisements we have had over the years is the streaming platforms putting highlights on YouTube and Facebook and all these different things, and it gets shared around and everybody interacts and sees and understands what's going on. But regardless, sprint car racing tonight, this was a great move by the World Racing Group, Volusia Speedway Park, and it was all for the 360 race. Of course, Ryan Timms looks like he's back in the saddle again, the guy who was going to set the sprint car world on fire 2 years ago, and I think most people would say, I think even we interviewed Ryan about it last year, underperformed last year. Ryan Timms, 2022, oh my God, here comes the next Larson Gravel, next big name or whatever, the top performer of sprint car racing. He says he wants to go to F1, but hey, Maybe he shouldn't say that again because God punished him in 2023. And it just didn't work out. Luck didn't go the right way. This didn't work. That didn't work. Hey, I look at that as God showing you, hey, something's wrong. But now apparently something is right. 360s, of course, was this event. The germ-free Southern Sprint Car Shootout opener. Hopefully that has nothing to do with the, germ-free and that kind of prerogative and indoctrination. But at the end of the day, $10,000 for Ryan Timms. Picking up the win. Big deal to bounce back starting 2024 off with the W. Now, this field was not something to look over. I mean, obviously, we hear 360 sprint cars, we think, the rest, the 360, I believe it was USCS, so I mean, regardless, you see this finishing order. You got Ryan Timms in here. Justin Peck was second. Sam Haferteep Jr. third, he's the Steve Kinser of 360s, it seems like. Austin McCarl, plenty of 360 experience and obviously top level. Danny Dietrich was there sitting in fifth. Looks like Danny Dietrich down there trying to get some laps. I wouldn't mind Danny Dietrich doing some damage down there in Florida. Like I said, he don't like me. I don't like him, but I respect him. He don't respect me. That's fine. But I do respect Danny Dietrich, one of the hardest working guys in sprint car racing. I'd like to see him have some success outside of PA, even though his schedule's 100 races and they're basically all PA. Regardless, got Cameron Martin in here, Davey Franick. Nice to see him back on the track. Danny Martin Jr., Tyler Clem. There's a bunch of guys kind of deep. Chris Martin. You got Ryan Harrison from the UK is over there. A bunch of different guys in here. But, Christopher Tram from the upper Midwest. You had Terry Gray in the field. Wayne Johnson was there. So this wasn't just like, Ryan Timms beating, a bunch of just, the typical USCS field. I mean, Kaylee Bryson couldn't do that. But at the end of the day, she couldn't make the A main. Regardless, this is a situation where, Ryan Timms off to a good start, but now it's 410 time coming up here very soon, and that's where we're going to see what happens. Ryan Timms obviously had a lot of success in 360 sprint car racing. He had some success in 410s, and then no one can really explain what happened this year with Ryan Timms. I really don't get it. I really, really don't. Also, sprint car news that happened. You had the Australian title on the line. This is a frame from Dean Neal over there at 7+, live and free. You see it at the top right. And for the record, for the late model fans who are tuning in, that is not a Flow Sports logo, even though it looks very close. It is 7+, which is like a station that's been around for like 45 years, I think it is. Regardless, it's been around for a while. They did live free telecasts of this event. The Australian title at Premier Speedway. This is the race for the number one in Australia. They have a weekend racing event for all the divisions of classes over here in the country. And if you win that race weekend, you have the opportunity, sort of like Supercross that does a yearly long champion, and you get the number one. You win this Australian title race, you get the number one put on your car, and you wear the number one after this race into the next year. So, and that's called the Australian title race. Some people agree with it being just one weekend. Some people disagree with it being just one weekend, but everybody knows that it is just one weekend. And if you win the race, you get the number one. It was actually interesting all night long. They had the Victorian title late models. Yes, late models. A lot of them running methanol fuel, by the way, which is, once again, carbon free. But at the end of the day, the late models were actually out here before this racing event took off, and the track was actually widened out. It was very slick. It had some patches, had a little character as far as, surface wavery, I guess you would call it. But then the rain came down. They had a late race caution, a big pile up with the late model division, and rain started coming down as they were trying to clean up that there was a pretty big flip. In the late models, believe it or not, pile up. I guess not really a flip, but a flying through the air scenario. Rain came down. They basically had to rework the whole track. They were lucky to even race this event. This was a 40-lap main event, and this is like lap 15? So, I mean, what is it, 25 laps into the race, you got front wheels off the ground, and this is actually a race for the lead between McHugh and Ville. This race went green from green all the way. Green flag to checkered flag. It did not stop. Pretty good race. You had Brock Hallett leading early, and I think Brock Hallett, one of the underrated guys once again, back to the culture of sprint car racing in Australia, a lot of late model style guys over here where the car driver is the car chief, and Brock Allett, even though he's well funded, from my understanding, everyone I'm talking to, he's still kind of the crew chief of his own stuff. He does it all himself. He had a little bit of some issues led the beginning half of this race. Little contact was made, and, car obviously went under power or something. I heard drive line, something went wrong there, pulled off the track. This track, though, was very demanding, very hooked up, almost Chili Bowl, kind of 55 lapper around the bottom, hooked up, the old school Chili Bowl, not this year's Chili Bowl, where they tried to widen it out, but the whole almost like a whole reworked track. But it still got pretty dicey between Ville, McHugh, even obviously the defending number one, Jock Goodyear, was up in there as well. McHugh, though, kind of came out of nowhere, ran these guys down and passed them. Now, obviously, there's under the hood of this 7 car, there's one of those hammers, the Hammer 410s, not the Hammer 360 that Macedo had shipped in, but the Hammer 410s, a Charlie Garrett. God said you had to cough on that one. A Charlie Garrett. And those are the hammers of the 410 industry. Garrett's, Morrison's, Capettas, these exclusive kind of 410 sprint car builders at the top tier level of the sport. It's hard to keep up with those things when they're on the speedway. And it was set up very well. But McHugh, I know I've said inconsistency sometimes with McHugh. I've seen him make a lot of big mistakes in some moments. But this moment, he capitalized on it. He ran the best, smoothest, most consistent 40 laps of everybody and ran away with it and picked up the Australia number 1. So you got to clap your hands. It wasn't a widened out slick track. I know a lot of traditional sprint car fans, that's why I call it old school. They like that old tacky, gritty, pulling wheelies back and forth, slicing and dicing, lightning quick. In this scenario, in this race, since it went green, if you got caught up behind a lap car and you didn't get by him, a guy can make up a second on you almost instantly within a corner because of how hammered down fast it was. And it wasn't just straight around the bottom. You could kind of roll the middle top line in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But it was actually very old school, very hooked up, very going 4. They were lightning fast. I think they were close to the track record in this main event. So if you like the old school racing, Lachlan McHugh obviously was the best of that scenario. And he is now the number 1. So next year it'll be interesting to see, and everybody's kind of has this question mark because McHugh obviously goes over to the States and runs. Will they, like maybe his car owners or people in the United States, let him switch his number to AUS 1 or A1 or something like that? Because obviously it's not a mandate to change, even in Australia, your number to A1. It's just something that's tradition. It looks cool. It kind of makes this race a big deal. Like if a guy wins the Australian title and don't run the A1, it's like when you get to the title race the next year, it's like, what are we racing for? It's kind of weird if you don't get to see it all season long, what that race and that title meant to the driver, to the team. And I feel like if you don't put the A1 on the car, it's kind of like didn't mean nothing. That's kind of the projection that you're producing to the country or to the people that are involved in the sport. But it'll be interesting to see if the American side lets him do the A1 as well. I believe he's in the gray 25. Not sure if that scenario is still happening. But regardless, wherever McHugh goes in the United States, I think it would be cool to kind of see the team kind of honor this title and this representation by allowing the A1 onto the car. Now, we have to get into the scenario at hand. The scenario at hand. Oh, my God. And once again, hold on. Let's see. Got to get it back up. It's for some reason, the Facey Bookie page. Hold on. We'll actually go ahead and do this. This is it. Right here. Oh, that's what it was. There's this Madeline Dyer that is second time. Hold on. They wanted me to give a shout out for him, and she's actually really good. She's way better at singing than me. This Madden Dyer it was second time ever singing the national anthem, and this was for the Australian. And obviously, like I was just saying,
home is good thy sea, our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty.
Second time ever singing. Those are the 2 ones, super late model 1,
page at
and the sprint car 1.
Every stage,
That's Madeline Dyer on the mic there, singing that second time. Her first time was at the Sprint Car Invitational, I do believe, at Avalon. So a little bit of a shout out there. Over into the sadness of the world. And it wouldn't be late model racing without some late model drama. And that's what I said at Premiere, because there was some late race drama. I still don't know how that all finished out. But the image you see here on your screen is Ricky Thornton Jr. in victory lane, Jonathan Davenport coming to stand in third, and a little bit of an elbow shove. A little bit of an elbow shove. And he was very upset. And what was he very upset about? He was upset about some wrecks on the track. He was upset about a little bit of a move, from what I've gathered, where Ricky Thornton Jr. went in there and pushed the issue, shoved him up the track. And then, of course, Chris Madden right here actually gets by Ricky Thornton Jr. The following lap, and so does Davenport. A caution comes out. They put Ricky Thornton Jr. back into the lead. So he's a little upset in multiple facets and areas. Of course, this is on Flow Racing on YouTube. Now here's what I want to say about this whole entire scenario. I had some discussions over the weekend, and the way Ricky Thornton Jr. raced, like, and traditionally, I don't ever see, I mean, I don't ever see moves like this. And Ricky Thornton Jr. had a little issue with Marlar as well earlier in the race, and I think he could have prevented that also. I mean, obviously, Ricky Thornton Jr. had a hell of a run here, so he wanted to do something with it. He's going for the win. So it's somewhat explainable. But what somebody did tell me, and it made a lot of sense over the weekend, is they were like, I think Bobby Pierce is going to do well this year, but I think Ricky Thornton Jr. is pretty much a one-and-done guy. And I go, why is that? And he goes, you look at guys, they have 2 good years, and then it's another guy. It's hard to stay up front in the late model industry. And I think that, kind of this rough driving, he was saying, Ricky Thornton Jr. just got through doing Chili Bowl and micros, and they get pretty crazy and hectic in those divisions. And it got me to thinking, in sprint car racing, we got guys who come in and dominate for 5 years, or just up front. We got 2 or 3 or 4 guys who are just that damn good up front, and I've always kind of said it's because we don't have as much competition. And what I'm going to say is it take it away from the intelligence of that dominance, but I do feel like in stick and bar cars, like, non-wing cars or sprint cars in particular, I think there is only so much you can do to the cars. A lot of the discussion here in the late model world has floated around on this new shock situation they're capping on, and the body thing that we're seeing over there. I think it was O'Neill or Moran or something like it. This looked like some kind of crazy car. I think in this scenario, in the late model industry versus the sprint car industry, since there's not so much you could do to the sprint car industry, if you're one of the baddest ass drivers that is in that world, you go to the top and you stay up top for a while. Whereas in this late model world, you could be a really badass driver, but if on the mechanical side, on the body, the shock, the this, that, and the other, if you don't stay up and up in that department and stay ahead, you're going to falter. You're only going to be a 2-year guy. I mean, even Jonathan Davenport, even though he's up front right now, he was probably frustrated with last year. A lot of guys who were dominant. Chris Madden, who ends up finishing second here, probably a little upset as well how he ran last year. Even though he ran okay, these guys were used to dominating like Ricky Thornton Jr. did last year, just a few years ago. Brandon Overton, who's going after people who, speculated about his chassis and stuff like that, and what he's doing with this year, rightfully so. I still think he's a droop of please, but at the end of the day, he was a guy who dominated a year and then is not where he's at. So frustration builds. And I think we saw a lot of moves from Ricky Thornton Jr. that was based in that frustration. It comes across to me as Ricky Thornton Jr. don't have, when you're racing these cars, you have a certain feeling in the race car. your closing rate on these guys, or you feel like you got something on them off the corner here, entering here, whatever they got figured out over there. I think they got something figured out. You have to have something figured out to be up front like they were last year, and it's not really there like it was. Or maybe Davenport's got this figured out or that figured out. Now the frustration builds like it has for the Overtons, the Maddens, the Davenports, where another guy is they're better than me than I used to be. And in that frustrational era, you start pulling moves like this. You start showing who you, I don't want to say it because I don't think Ricky's that way, but you kind of start showing who you are. You know, somebody was talking to me over the weekend, oh, that guy's so quiet. He's so nice. I say, but on the racetrack, he drives like a dick. I said, on the racetrack, you show people who you actually are as a person. Because lives are on the line, money's on the line, your ego's on the line, their ego, how much everything is worth to you, you show on the track. So I think in a moment of frustration where Ricky Thornton Jr. already has kind of, he won obviously, and he's done very well, but we ain't seen, or it doesn't seem like he has the same speed. These other boys have caught up in that mechanical department. I think the drivers have all stayed the same. You know, that's why I gave the sprint car analogy. If Ricky Thornton Jr. was a sprint car driver full-time, he would be still staying up top and people would still be chasing him because the mechanics ain't as variant. You can't just build new bodies and all this stuff and try to catch up in another department outside the driver's compartment. So I think that this was a showing of frustration from Ricky Thornton Jr. with all the contact that was made. And we haven't traditionally seen Ricky Thornton get in this scenario, but he's whooped ass on every level he's gotten to and went to. And now he's the man. Now he's on top of the mountain. People react differently when people start getting closer to that top of that mountain and they see him coming. Some people will be like, okay, it's happening, I got to get better. Or some people will pull moves, even though you got to run. It wasn't, like I said, it was a scenario. It was a track where you should kind of pull that move. But it still seemed uncharacteristic for Ricky Thornton Jr. Now, he did say in the post-race interview that some people have been running him dirty. Some people have been running them close, and he's going to start running them close right back. Obviously, the elbow shrug by Davenport shows me, okay, game on. So I think there's somewhat of a target on the 20RT now. You're definitely not going to see Jonathan Davenport race the 20RT nicely anymore. And even though Jonathan Davenport raced very cleanly in his really badass $2 million man year, I don't know who watched Jonathan Davenport in lap traffic. Jonathan Davenport was a dickhead to some lap traffic cars. I mean, he was pulling moves. I was like, holy shit, that was like Slide Job City at Knoxville or something, you know, in a sprint car. I mean, it was really aggressive style driving. Now, he would race the guys up front very cleanly and give room and not as aggressive to try to just drive and race a guy. But if he starts driving Ricky Thornton Jr., like I saw him driving lap cars when he was kicking ass, you're going to have a scenario here that is the late model scene of America. Y'all have something to watch right now. Y'all have something very interesting to watch. Not only just the bodies and this, that, and the other, or Brandon Overton's chassis that everyone says is something else, but he says is another. Not just the drama off the track. You now have drama on it. I think that's the biggest difference between sprint car racing and late model racing is y'all at least have the balls to drop your character and be honest with people and be honest with the world. And have drama on the racetrack between drivers. Obviously, y'all have fenders. It's a little easier to do that as well, to rub fenders and to race close. If sprint car racers get close or rub fenders, they flip and potentially die, you know, so it's a little bit different. But I think that the drama is on the track more with the super. It's on-track based, or the drama with the sprint car world is off-track based. And people who know what I'm talking about know. And I used to talk about that stuff, but I'm going to reserve that shit for TMZ. When they come and get y'all's ass, I can't wait. I can't wait for TMZ to learn about sprint car racing in America and go behind all these trailer doors and into these back rooms to see all that you people are doing. It's going to be amazing. But regardless, that'll be here in the next couple of years. I can't wait to see what they do to you. I can't wait to see some of the things that's happening behind the closed doors of the sprint car world. Oh, the drama is there. It is. Whew, Jerry Springer ain't got shit on that. But anyway, on-track drama with the late model world, this is awesome. This is amazing. This is cool. Y'all have two guys. You got the old star who went to NASCAR and accomplished a dream, who was the $2 million man who fell off a pedestal of performance at least. And this young gun guy who's kicked ass his whole career has worked his way up and took over his glory last year in 23. And now here in 24, it already looks like Davenport's rose back up with Madden as well. And now Ricky Thornton Jr. is falling back just within the grass. Ricky Thornton Jr. is showing you when he's in that frustrational moment where he's not looking. These other guys are looking like they could be a little better. He's willing to pull. He's willing to rub. He's willing to talk some crap in the post-race interview. I mean, this is good. This is good. And then you got the crazy bodies that we're all trying to figure out. Speaking of crazy bodies, let me show you what a real late model looks like. And this was Bobby Pierce, who he wasn't in the United States. He flew over to New Zealand at this damn Karaka, some kind of freaking indigenous name. A super sedan is what they call these damn race cars. And this is honestly what a late model should look like. Is this not a 1980s late model in the modern times? I even put a comment down here. Basically, a real super late model of the modern world. The ones in the States are modern wedge super late models. And it's true. It's true. But Bobby Pierce, who people think are not going to fall off the mountain as much as RTJ, who they think he can stay on top of the mountain unlike Ricky Thornton. They think that's because him and his dad have a history in late model development and setting cars up and very mentally strong in the late model world. Obviously, people still stigmatize Ricky Thornton Jr. as a modified guy. I think that's wrong completely. I think that's wrong. I think Ricky Thornton Jr. is smart. But Bobby Pierce is over here challenging himself as well, very interesting race cars these things are. I think you could, maybe some people are like, oh, well, the late models in America are blah, 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 blah. I think if you found a happy medium between these style bodies and the ones in the States, you'd have a perfect late model. But I do appreciate the look of this car, even though some people would say, oh, it looks like a modified with the nose on it. They got some like pro stock divisions in the States that look very similar to this. It's not exactly similar. We plan on maybe doing some content around this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going up to the Brisbane area or potentially New Zealand here before we head back to the States for this whole trip for me is over, so we can actually get up close and in person with some of these, just like the Super Rods. We got a video coming out on the Super Rods, amazing vehicles. This is just badass, and the comment sections agree. Now, you can't do no crazy body on this. I mean, it's one sector doors. Look at how they got this thing built. The nose is very structured. It's a very solid encased kind of body, and I'll tell you what, with all the body discussions around the situation in Florida right now, you saw how much NASCAR went from their bullet style cars to the COT, and if people keep crying about the body rules, you're eventually going to get that in dirt super late. They're going to come out with a template based late model body. It's going to be some big manufacturer that's going to sponsor the series. It's going to be a big money under the table scenario. It's going to look like, but it's going to be for equality and safety and all these things. And that's how it works. That's how it works. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. You got to throw all your bodies out and start over new. You could just be going here. This honestly, the new COT dirt late model that they're going to put on y'all's ass in a few years because you cry about the body rules might be something closer to this. And who wouldn't mind seeing this? I mean, this thing looks like it looks like a car, and that's what dirt cars are supposed to look, somewhat like a car. I mean, I know a sprint car and a midget is a machine because there's nothing else like it. But when you're in these late model divisions, it's supposed to look like a car, so you can get manufacturer support and all this stuff and actual real sponsorship. But y'all don't care about that. You don't understand that yet. This could actually get there. Once again, just want to give a shout out to Bobby Pierce picking up the win. Badass looking race cars. These are modern late models. They did not go down the Wedger path. This is where it's at. I like these. I can't wait to check these cars out before we get out of here in Australia. We will check out the comments just a little bit. Not sure who's all in here watching. We have to get off here very soon. Just for the simple fact that, hold on, maybe not. Just for the simple fact that we have to get to the airport here very soon. The actual flight does leave here very soon, and I got to be checked out by 10 a.m. It is 9:33. We tried to bang out as much as we could here in this little hour. Oh, my God. Somebody had to talk about Larson. Bet you Larson wasn't. Ha, ha, ha. Hater is all you are. NASCAR boy kicking boys' ass that race this stuff for a living. Make Chaz sad. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. JD was probably pissed because RTJ tried to turn him at speed a couple laps before what you showed. He did. He did. We could go over here and show it, but I mean, at the same time, why were they that close either? I mean, they were that close for a reason as well. There was, and I think that RTJ was trying to show him that he had runs going into 3, and that's why he almost spun him. And trying to let him know, hey, I'm here. But at the same time, hold on, let's see if we can see what you're. I know exactly what you're talking about. And once again, pushing the issue. I mean, this was the Marlar one right here. This was the Marlar one. I mean, RTJ goes in low, but rolls him up to the top. You think RTJ would have stayed low even if he gave him some contact. And then it was, I believe, just a few laps later when he gets up under the tail of him. Like you said, prior to the clip I showed. Let's see. They may not have this in here. But he does get into the back of him and kind of turn him. I thought just to kind of let him know that he was there. Regardless, let's see. No, maybe they took it out. And that's funny. RTJ was kind of accusing like officials and people of letting these guys get away with running him over under caution. Apparently, Jonathan Davenport ran over him just a little bit under the caution flag. And he didn't get penalized. He said at Deer Creek last year when he did some stuff on the track under caution, he got penalized for it, and nobody else did. So super sedans are what I follow in Speedway. Come to New Zealand, mate. We're trying to make the New Zealand deal happen. It's all about, I guess they call it accommodations. And then obviously the expense to get over there. I am talking to some people that are within the scene, I guess. I hear that Western Springs is done after this year, so I kind of want to see that. If that's the case, Western Springs, a very historical racetrack across the world, in my opinion. So I might have to force it. I might have to throw the bank account. I threw the bank account out the window to even get here to Australia. Now I might have to throw the bank account out the window to go to New Zealand as well, because I'd have to do the visa. I'd have to apply for that very soon. So we'll have to see. That is a super saloon. They slowly going towards a late model body. I know that they got late models, and I thought they were super sedans, super saloons. Okay, fine. Super saloons. Yeah, super sedans are what I follow. So I guess they might call them both. But the late models in the States look like a Grand National we used to run here in Australia. Yeah, those Grand Nationals from 1980 look very similar to the wedge style late models. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. It is 9:37 a.m. on a Monday. It's a Monday here. I believe y'all are in Sunday right now. Is it Super Bowl Sunday? No, that's another week away. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning into the show. Be sure to message me on the Facebook page or send an email if you can accommodate, or if I help find a way to New Zealand. I don't know, maybe I can row a boat over there. We'll find out. We are heading to Perth today. Going to be over there. Going to be planning to be at Bunbury. I think that's how you say it this weekend. They've been joking at me on how to say it. I've been saying Bunbury or something, and it's wrong. Regardless. And then the Plex. Perth Motorplex. Apparently, I'm going to be stunned when I see the facility. We got some other things. Oh, hold on. I want to show you this thing. They're saying I have to go to this island over in Perth, and it's like the only place in the world where you can see them. Hold on. Let me get to this thing. It's called like a Wakapa or something. Let me see. Maybe it's NFC Championship Day. I see a lot of Facebook posts. Yeah, here it is, right here. What is a quokka? And then we go over here, and apparently this is an animal in Perth on an island that smiles. Look at this thing. Hold on. It smiles at you. It literally smiles. So you have to go to this island and see him. Like, that's the way it just looks naturally. It looks like it's smiling. So we may be visiting that thing as well, potentially. We got some, maybe a fishing trip or two. Apparently sharks and everything over there as well. It could be getting very, very cool. We do have a bunch of content coming out on the channel as well. So be sure to subscribe. The Melbourne trip. We got some premiere wrap-ups. We got an Avalon video coming out. We got a lot of stuff that we have to sit down and make. Hopefully when we get to Perth, we'll actually have like a scenario where we can sit all of our stuff down and do some work, because that's what it takes to put all this stuff out. And if you enjoy all the work that we're putting out, if you can subscribe, please do like and share the video around. Memberships in the description below, or actually below the video here. Monthly memberships help out a lot also, and then links to the Venmo and PayPal in the description as well. Those things are definitely going to help to go anywhere, or heck, New Zealand, that's a whole nother expense. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure out which way I want to go back to the States. Do I want to get an overcharged plane ticket, or do I want to ride a cruise? There actually is a cruise. There's a 33-day cruise that leaves from Sydney and arrives in Seattle. I can go to Skagit and shit. 33 days. And if that has Wi-Fi, and apparently breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included, if I can go on a cruise for 33 days with Wi-Fi, I can do all the work I need to do. I could be sitting here talking about racing every single day while I'm going down and up and down the ocean as a single guy on a cruise line. It's very alluring. I'll tell you that. It's very alluring. Anyways, thanks Team Bowen for the shirt. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Like the video, share the video, comment below. As always, be sure to subscribe. We will catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to put it all in words. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong, or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, outside winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do.